Texas Governor Greg Abbott let his state stay-at-home order expire on April 30th. The next day, he allowed most businesses to reopen at 25% capacity, including retailers, restaurants, and movie theaters. Most major chains in the state kept their doors closed anyway. But Santikos, a San Antonio-based chain that employs about 700 people, decided to test the waters.
So you come in with your family, we open the door. We ask some safety questions up front. Have you had any symptoms in the last 14 days? Have you been around anyone that has? If you answer yes to those, we'll politely refund your money and ask you to come back in 14 days. We don't take cash at all of our concession stands. We have the plexiglass guards up. And when you get your concessions, we got rid of the area where you normally go and serve yourself sodas. We are seating every other row, and then we're putting 2 seats between each occupied seat.
You're welcome.
Today is Grayson's first movie, so hopefully he makes it through the whole thing.
And there won't be very many people in this theater for him to annoy.
So it's an experiment on multiple levels.
We are in that, underlying health conditions population, so we're very, very careful. Plus, I have asthma. At some point, it's my responsibility to decide where I want to take my risks.
Only 3 of Santikos' 9 theater locations are open right now, as they're the largest and therefore easiest to experiment with, which Handren says is the whole point. What have ticket sales been like?
Roughly 15% of what a normal time would look like right now. Those aren't huge numbers, right? We know that. I would say economically, we are covering the cost of our employees. We're trying to give people an education and say it can be done safely.
I have to imagine that you've gotten some pushback. Have you heard from people who disagree with your decision?
Try to educate people what we're doing and why. We've addressed them pretty directly when they make comments like, oh, this is just a big money grab. Well, no, it's not. We're not actually making money. We're bringing employees back to work who feel like they're coming back to a safe environment.
Theater 16, be on your left. Enjoy movie.
Dr. Anthony Fauci has warned specifically about states opening too early, prematurely. Do you think that he's talking about places like Texas?
Yeah, I think some states could open too quickly. And I think the way Governor Abbott is trying to open Texas, just because we've opened up a couple of venues does not mean throw all of the precautionary measures that the CDC recommends out the door. I think we're trying to now strike the right balance between economics and health without one getting out of control.
Handren, who's a member of the reopening committee for the National Association of Theater Owners, thinks he's well positioned to create an early blueprint for all the other theaters still trying to figure out how to reopen safely. You are among the first to reopen. And when you think about social distancing and then also the essentialness of a service or a business, movie theaters doesn't exactly come to mind.
If I were in New York City, I wouldn't even think about doing this. New York has very different data and very different experience with COVID-19 than we've had in Texas and certainly in San Antonio. I think we've been somebody who can be a resource to other theaters across the country. We've talked to many of them.
But even when other movie theaters do open, they'll still be in a tough spot. There are no new releases until at least early July, and everyone will be operating at a much lower capacity for who knows how long. Plus, and maybe most importantly, studios are already beginning to wonder out loud if they even need to put their movies in theaters first. Trolls World Tour, the first major movie to go straight to video on demand during the crisis, made $100 million in just 3 weeks. That's more than the first Trolls movie made during its 5-month run in US theaters. Are you worried that this pandemic will affect the relationship between theaters, movie theaters that people go to, and the studios that produce movies?
Yeah, I think even before COVID-19, we viewed the video streaming on demand and the theaters as not mutually exclusive. It's not one or the other. I think the question becomes, is there a coexistence model that makes sense? There's a theatrical experience that you can't get at home. So I don't think this kills the industry. I think it changes it. Consumer demand on entertainment may change. But is it forever changed based on how we're acting over the last 2 to 3 weeks? I don't think so.